All right, welcome back to Bayou Time. And you all watch the programming from time to time. We have very interesting people on. You've seen the one-on-one with Ken Wells that we did a couple of years ago. But now he brings in a family member who's joining his team, and Hillary Wells is with us today. They've written a book, and we're going to talk about the book. But we don't expect anything less, Ken. Once again, another Wells project. It's good to see both of y'all, first of all.
Thank you.
too.
First of all, thank you, Martin, for having us. Yeah. And, you know, my theory of life, if I just keep typing, good things will happen, you know. So I kept typing, and we have another novel. So it's pretty exciting.
And before we talk about the novel, I saw in the book where you honored your parents and you honored someone who taught both of us,
Yeah,
Dr. Al Delahaye.
Dr. Al Delahaye was my indispensable mentor, and I miss him every day. You know, he passed 6 or 8 months ago. Yeah. But I don't think I would have a journalism career, or certainly not a writing career. You know, he was my benevolent drill sergeant, you know, and basically said, you know, you could do this, but you're kind of lazy and you need to up your game. And he was right. So,
but you did.
I did, yeah, right, yeah.
You listened.
With Al, failure was not an option. You know, you could not be a backslider with Al. He would not let you do that. He was just saying, no, come on. You know?
And up until a few months before he passed, every now and then I would get a call.
Oh, yeah.
And he'd go, well, Martin, how is so-and-so, and how is so-and-so? And I'm going, you're keeping up with him more than I am. You know?
I saw Al about 3 weeks before he passed. He was great. You know, that is, you know, he was mentally sharp. He was the old Al. He remembered absolutely everything. We had a fabulous hour-long conversation. You know, I'm glad I got to see him.
And let me ask Hillary something. Before, you've been involved in a family that's pretty diverse. And I say diverse in a great way. Musicians, comedians, award-winning journalists, different things. And so you're in the movie and TV industry now doing different things. And now you got to write a book with someone who's done a fantastic job with their writing skills. How did that come about?
Well, he could probably tell you a little bit more about how it initially came about, but I will say it was a phone call I didn't expect to get, but one that I was very excited to get, and it turned out to be a really beautiful collaboration. He can tell you a little bit more about sort of the beginnings of it, though.
Yeah. So let's talk. Well, that's a good transition into the book. Swamped. How'd y'all come up with this?
Yeah, so, you know, Louisiana is my canvas. You know, if I were an artist, I would be painting Louisiana. I'm a writer, so I'm writing about Louisiana. And you know, I feel like I'm not out of stories yet. You know, this is my fifth and a half novel. I've shared this one with Hillary novel, and they're all set in Bayou country. And in this case, you know, I wanted to write a survival story set in the greater Atchafalaya swamp. And I set out to actually write a book for boys because, you know, boys and young men don't read at nearly the level or, you know, with the intensity as girls. And there was an editor in New York City after I think Mealy came out who said, you know, boys need more books to read. So that was my original idea. I was going to, you know, and all men are boys at heart, you know. And so I have this kind of fantasy story, you know, you're stranded in the swamp or on a desert island or, you know, pick your spot with, you know, a really cute girl, and, you know, this is the kind of person who might not pay you any mind in the normal world, but because you're so courageous and resourceful and you're saving her from certain death, she looks at you, you know, in a way that she might not have noticed you, you know, in the real life. You might even get lucky, you know. So that was the beginning of it. That's what I thought. And so I write this story. And the problem with the story is that the young woman that I picked and I sort of drew as a character to be the foil, be the person who is saved by this young Cajun lad who is a swamp savant. He was raised by his trapper, Pawpaw Landry, knows everything about the swamp, you know. Well, you know, so I send the book around to my friends who are willing to read my ugly versions and an editor or two, and they go, you can write the swamp, and we like the plot, but we don't like this girl. You know, she's just too one-dimensional. She's kind of whiny, you know. I mean, you know, and even though you wrote a book for boys, girls are going to hate this book because, you know, contemporary young women do not wish to be saved. They may be wish to be rescued, but they don't want to be saved by some man. So, I go like, what the hell are you talking about? I mean, this is my story. And then, I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized they were right, So how do you fix this? Well, I was a teenager in the Jurassic period, so it's been a while, and I was thinking, well, who could I get to help me? Who could get to help me, and especially work on this young female character and the dialogue between the teens. And of course, Hillary, when my Gumbo book came out, Gumbo Live Tales from the Root Bayou came out, which is a cultural history of Gumbo and really the story of our culture down here. Hillary was in Los Angeles at the time, and on her own initiative, took it, and we tried to get she did a Netflix pilot, and we were trying to get a cooking show. She was trying to get a cooking show based on it. And Hollywood, Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
Hope Springs Infernal, and so, we didn't get the cooking show, but as I look back upon that, Hillary had shown great initiative, and she was a great writer. She was funny. And so just on a whim, I sort of sent her an email saying, I know this may sound strange, but I need you to help me save my book if you're interested. And so I sent it to her with some trepidation. You never know what she could have said, Uncle Ken, what's wrong with you? But instead she said, this is kind of interesting. Yeah. And so what happened was, and I'll let Hillary tell that part.
Yeah, we're going to tell it right when we come back from the break. We'll take a break, pay a few bills, but I'm interested to hear how the uncle-niece thing worked out. That could go south, but it looks like y'all still sitting here together, so it's all good. But let's bring up the picture, if we can, that we have. There it is, swamped. And they had a book signing event, and there you can see both of them taking great pictures. And Ken, that was a great story you told me about that hat.
Oh,
you
yeah.
didn't get to keep the hat, did you?
No, I love that hat, and I was visiting a cowboy hat shop in Austin, Texas, with my daughter who lives in Austin, and I tried it on, and I loved it. And I thought, look how handsome I am. Yeah. And then I looked at the price tag, and it was $400. And I said, I'm not that handsome.
But you got the picture.
but I got the picture. That's all that matters.
So I'm going to turn to Hillary. I was going to ask you during the break, but I wanted to wait because the Wells personality is, I say this in a good way. Mm-hmm. They get involved, and they are very personalities, and they want to get their thing across. So he calls on his niece to help him with the novel.
Yeah.
How was that?
Like I said, it was definitely a call that I never expected to get. And, at first, I was a little intimidated. I mean, when you have a Pulitzer-nominated uncle who calls and asks for your opinion on something, you're like, okay, well, how much of my opinion do I give or can I give without, like you said, causing any sort of, argument or anything like that, or I didn't want to offend him. And so it probably, I think I had to ease into it a little bit, but it really turned out to be a beautiful collaboration. He let me know exactly sort of what the feedback was that he was getting on the story, which was that Olivia's character, wasn't very plausible. He was, and the dialogue wasn't, quite with the times. And so we started there. And, once we kind of got that down packed, then we kept exchanging the manuscript back and forth, just developing Olivia as a true co-protagonist and, and making her really an equal part of their survival.
Well, what did you being on tour and doing comedy and getting up in front of people and seeing very strong women along the way, weren't you able to tap into that a little bit?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think, if you read the book, you'll realize that Olivia is very funny. She is very sharp-witted and funny and sarcastic. And yeah, I do comedy, and I know a lot of strong women that do comedy that I look up to. But I also was once, a sarcastic teenage girl in the Atchafalaya Basin in my dad's fishing boat. So, it was a character that I was able to feel really close to. And I definitely drew a lot from, my own experience as, a performing woman in comedy. I mean, also in comedy, I'm usually the only woman in the room. I mean, it's like I've walked into open mics in the back alley in some little comedy club in Santa Monica, and it was like 50 guys and just me. And I remember my sister-in-law came with me, and she turned and looked at me, and she goes, "I have no idea how you do this. I would have, if I walked into this, I would have turned around and ran the other way." So yeah, I mean, to be able to build this character who's a strong woman who has to really hold her own and help their survival, I think there was a lot I was able to draw from.
Yeah, but
for
you
that.
being the only woman in the comedy club, to me, is an advantage. So you can launch from that.
It
And
can
make
be.
fun of all the guys.
Oh, and I do. I absolutely do. But yeah, it's a blessing and a curse sometimes.
So when she started helping you, Ken, I'm not going to say you're old-fashioned, but you've been around for a while, okay?
Oh yeah, sure. But I mean, one of the things, Martin, is that I'm an old jaded journalist. I'm used to being edited. I like to say I'm pre-humiliated. There's, I've worked in journalism at the very highest levels, and I'm very proud of my work, and and I have strong opinions.
And you had Al Delahaye where you get your paper back and a lot of it's red.
Totally read. And at the Wall Street Journal, we would do these projects, even the two projects in one Pulitzer's that I worked on, I was the editor for. At 7 o'clock when the story's supposed to run, the ombudsman, the final editor of the paper would walk over, holding the galley and reading it and going, "Wells, there's about 6 things in here I don't understand at all, and you have about 30 minutes to explain it to me." So oh, okay, how can I really help you? And you go, "Oh, God," so the worst.
So you were used to criticism.
There you go. Yeah. So but the great thing I would say that, and we use track changes. I'm that least modern, and I would say that I ended up taking like 87% of Hillary's suggestions. And then there were times when I felt like I was intuiting Hillary. That is, sort of the idea that Olivia's dialogue and her relationship with Jack had to get snappier. And she had to get more sarcastic. She had to be more fun, because the first iteration, the original title of the book was "Saving Olivia Fitzgerald." That's what I had named it. And that would have never gone over.
Yeah, I love the new title.
This is so much better. And just sort of by osmosis, then and thanks to a lot of her feedback, we just kind of agreed that she had to be a better, a more well-rounded character. I mean, the funny thing is, there was a reason I had her come from New York, because I knew this much about her. I lived on the Upper East Side for 6 years. 3 blocks from Central Park, I would walk to Central Park, and there would be these kids, clearly private school kids in their really kitted out uniforms playing lacrosse. And you just looked at them and you kind of understood that they were a cut above, most of the rest of the world, And, there were 2 or 3 really nice private schools down the street, from the Museum of Natural History. And that's where she had to come from, because I knew at least that much about her, and I knew what subway she would ride.
Well, it looks like it's working out here. And once again, we'll bring up that picture if we can, because yesterday, depending on what time you're watching this, but on Sunday, they had a book signing. And I want to come back to our panel, and then we'll roll in a little footage from that event, because y'all had a book signing, and I noticed a lot of people from your past were coming up, and they were curious about the book.
Yeah, I thought the book signing went incredibly well. We had it at Bayou Terrebonne Distilleries, which is a place I'd done some comedy shows and stuff before, and they were nice enough to have us. And we met, I think, cousins we didn't even know we had.
Always the case, huh?
Yeah.
And with such a large family, there's a lot of cousins.
Oh,
Ken.
my God. My mom was a Toops from Thibodaux, and there are more Toopses in Thibodaux than there are Smiths in Ohio. So.
Well, we have a connection with the Toops, right?
I know we do. That's right.
Yeah, my godmother was Yolande Toops,
Right.
who was Boy's wife, which is the brother of your uncle.
That's right.
6 degrees of separation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, always the case. But let me ask you, as they were coming up and y'all were signing the book, and I also noticed y'all put y'all fingers real close to the ballpoint, so that might be a Wells thing too, I'm not sure.
Must be.
But it's just good to see the success that Ken's had, and then Hillary had the guts to put herself on stage and do some things that most people will never reach their potential because they're too scared to try. I want to ask you, the fear factor. How did you get over the fear factor when your career started?
Wow, you're absolutely right. That one of the things that Al Delahaye told me when he sent me off to Missouri, he said, Ken, I think you can play in the big leagues, but you'll go up there to Missouri and you're going to meet a lot of smart kids who might be smarter than you, and so you'll find out what you're made of, and go get them. That's what he said. And so I went up there with some trepidation, and then after about a month or two, realized that I belong here. I should be here. So
I can play this game. I got more personality than that. Yeah.
And I can cook gumbo, and they can't. So,
So Hillary, as you were feeding into it, the things you've tried, still relatively young, did you sort of look at Uncle Ken and go, you know what? At one point, he asked me to help, and this is an honor.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, like I said, it was a call that I never thought that I would get, and that I just felt really blessed and honored to get. And he's somebody that I've always looked up to. And I think when you have somebody in your own family who has, gone out and pursued their dreams, and you get to see them live that every day, that's always been a huge inspiration to me. So.
And he chose you.
And I still can't believe it some days, but I keep saying, I'm like, he could have made it a period piece and left me out of it. And it probably wouldn't need my feedback, but he chose to include me. And I just feel so blessed.
With that said, I want to work this into the segment, because yesterday at the book signing, the James Buquet Award winning committee came there. Sort of knew about it, Ken, I got to be honest, for transparency, but I was playing pretty stupid, which is easy for me all the way through. And they walked up to your table while you were signing books. Let's roll this in.
Well, while you're signing that, Mr. Ken Wells, I'm Ashley Barahona. I am with the Terrebonne Foundation for Academic Excellence. We focus on improving literacy in Terrebonne Parish and supporting our educators. Well, we had you as a nomination for our J.J. Buquet Award of Distinction, and you have been awarded this award as our J.J. Buquet Award of Distinction winner for 2023. Yes, congratulations. Yes. This honor is presented to a Terrebonne Parish High School graduate who is recognized for vision and excellence in his chosen fields and other areas of personal endeavors. This individual has provided service unselfishly to their community, state, nation, and internationally. We are honored to present you with the 2023 J.J. Buquet Award of Distinction. Here with me today, we have members of the Buquet family, Miss Gwenny Lee Buquet.
Thank you so much. Again,
J.J. Buquet.
Yeah, we have indeed.
We also have our executive and board members. Our board members, we have George Robichaux, Mark Felger, Danny, you know this guy, Mr. Ricky Murphy as well. So we will honor you at a banquet as well on March 23rd at Terrebonne General at 6 p.m. and I'll send you the invitation. Hopefully you could be there in attendance to be present for the actual award and be honored. So I would like to give J.J. Buquet the mic.
All right, there you have it, a great award. Minute and a half left. March 23rd, they're going to have a banquet. You're going to be honored officially. Congratulations, well deserved. But I know we want to talk about how do people get the book real quick. How do they get the book?
Oh, well, the book is available nationwide on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, bookshop.org, and locally outside and in
Yes.
boutique
Okay.
and the South Down Museum gift shop. We have signed some copies there, and as much as we love Amazon, please go buy the book from the local merchants who support us. So,
Yeah, incredible. And I just want to thank, and just to give a plug, Bob and Amanda, they also did a good job raising their daughter, right?
I think they did.
All right.
5 stars.
I'd like to give plugs to the parents because I know Hillary's proud of it too. And you were proud of your parents because I saw it in the book, and that's all good stuff. So there you have it. The Wells family continuing to do great things. Just wondering when we'll have the next time. We'll have another show with somebody else in the Wells family doing great things for the area. Proud of you guys. Thank you all so much.
Well, thank you, Martin. Appreciate
Thank you.
All right, and can't wait to see book number 6 or 7 or whatever it is. I think 6 would be 6.
It'll be 7. Oh, this one is 6. Right? Yeah.
All right, 6.5. All right, we'll take a short break. A lot more right here on Bayou Time. Don't go away.